Establishment figures out of touch with the country. Of course, they're given wall-to-wall mainstream media coverage, but on the issue of foreign aid, as on so many other issues, polling shows they are massively out of touch. I'm going to bring you all the very latest in this report, guys, but please start off by hitting the subscribe button and the bell so you don't miss future reports. So the issue of foreign aid is particularly relevant because, as I've laid out in a previous video, there's currently a debate going on within government. Rishi Sunak, the Chancellor, obviously given the dire economic situation we're in with the pandemic, looking at cutting foreign aid. And of course, we've got this bizarre 0.7% target that has seen the UK in a single year give away 15 billion quid in foreign aid. We're giving away far more than most other countries. I've laid all that out in a previous video before, so I won't go into that now. But it's interesting to see when the public are asked, the great British public are asked, they have a slightly different view on foreign aid to the great and the good. And as Nigel Farage pointed out, and this all comes ahead of spending review by Chancellor Rishi Sunak on Wednesday, which is why this is particularly relevant. Now, as Nigel Farage points out, we've had everyone from the Archbishop of Canterbury to Bill Gates, Tony Blair, David Cameron. Aren't we lucky to hear from the likes of these people? And all of the great and the good want us to keep paying more in foreign aid. A big majority of the public want it cut, Nigel says. Will Boris hold his nerve? Now, as I said before, it's believed that Rishi Sunak is pushing to cut foreign aid from this bizarre 0.7% target. And I say it again, why would you have that target? Shouldn't foreign aid be done on the basis of what's required? Why? Are we being ripped off? Is it worthwhile? How much is it? What should we prioritise? Not this ridiculous arbitrary figure that seems to have been dreamt up to keep some people living in affluent parts of London, no doubt, feel warm and fuzzy at night. Absolutely ridiculous as far as I'm concerned. But of course, here comes the Telegraph. David Cameron and Tony Blair have warned Boris Johnson that he risks undermining his presidency of the G7 next year if he cuts foreign aid spending. In a joint statement to the Telegraph, the former Prime Ministers said a proposed 0.2% cut to the £15 billion international development budget to pay for a coronavirus cost would jeopardise Britain's soft power status on the global stage. Now, personally, I've actually talked to a few journalists about this before. I really don't care what David Cameron, Tony Blair, or any of these people have to say on, well, anything. I mean, am I wrong on that? I mean, the only people that seem to care are journalists who get very excited about some of this stuff and give them a lot of coverage. I think if you ask the public what percentage of you actually give a damn what the likes of Tony Blair thinks about anything, it'd be single figures percentage-wise, wouldn't it? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, guys. Let me know what you think. I just think this constant regurgitation of these sort of discredited figures, yesterday's men, kind of gets a bit tedious after a while. I really don't care. And of course, they get wall-to-wall coverage saying that the foreign aid, we must keep giving all this money away in foreign aid, even in the current dire economic circumstances. Get your head around that one. But when you actually ask the people, and of course, what the people think doesn't get nearly the airing as some of these old grandees. Of course not. Well, it will on this channel, because what YouGov have found, and this is really interesting, is they found that, and they tweeted this out, both David Cameron and Tony Blair have warned Boris Johnson against reducing the overseas aid budget. Our tracker shows 60% of Brits think it is one of the sectors the UK spends too much on. Far ahead of the second place, which is defence, way down on just 23%. So I dug into this a bit, and what it shows you, the question was to people, if the government was to cut money it currently spends, which of the following areas do you think the government should reduce spending the most? Please tick up to 3. So overall, 60% of Brits say we give away too much, we spend too much on foreign aid. And I make them absolutely right. Let me know what you think. I think the foreign aid budget is completely out of control and ridiculous, frankly, especially given the economic circumstances we find ourselves in. But 60% of Brits now say that we spend too much on foreign aid. That should be cut. And it comes down to 23% for defence. Third is actually welfare benefits on 17%. And fourth is environment and climate change. So when you're looking at the economic circumstances that we're in now, this is a bit of a wake-up call, I'd say. 60% of Brits say that the foreign aid budget is out of control. And I actually dug into the data sets on this a bit and had a look. The numbers are overwhelming. 80% of Conservative voters, 80% of Conservative voters say that government should reduce spending on foreign aid. And funnily enough, on Leave voters, it's exactly the same percentage. 80% of Leave voters also saying that foreign aid, the spending on foreign aid, should be reduced. Now, I know that, as I said, the media get very excited about what Tony Blair thinks, what David Cameron's got to say. As I say, I really couldn't care less. But I mean, let me know if you do, if I've got that wrong. I don't think I have. But really, this is one of those issues, isn't it? It's a test for this Boris Johnson government with Rishi Sunak, because they can listen to the perpetually outraged lefty column writers in the bubble. They can listen to the grandees. They can listen to the posh commentators who'll be outraged at the prospect that you possibly cut the £15 billion pound foreign aid and, shock horror, spend it on some priorities at home. Imagine that, eh? But Rishi Sunak and Boris Johnson, the British public opinion will back them massively on this in cutting the foreign aid budget. And I did ask my supporters, do support Real News here on the channel, guys, by hitting the join button down below, because I'm going to be doing more and more readouts. I really want to hear what my supporters who are supporting Real News have got to say on this. And Brian with an interesting comment. I basically asked, do you think that the government basically have the bottle to listen to the British people rather than these discredited figures and cut foreign aid? And Brian said, yes, I think Boris will cut the foreign aid budget, but not sufficiently to do the things like providing more new housing, especially for ex-forces personnel, plus sufficient and adequate medical facilities, including for all the mental health problems some ex-personnel, service personnel endure. He needs to cut it completely, Brian says, in order to fix problems at home. Some of those needing help now have paid their taxes and dues until their health problems came on the scene. He concludes by saying, once these issues in the UK have been properly addressed, then we can assess what we can afford to pay towards foreign aid in the future. I suspect that's a sentiment that a lot of you guys will agree with, but let me know in the comments. But again, I think this spending review, this issue of foreign aid, it's one of those issues. Will Boris Johnson, will Rishi Sunak actually listen to the British people and sentiment in this country, particularly given the very tough economic circumstances we find ourselves in? Or will they listen to the posh lefties who want to just basically give away billions and billions of pounds every year because apparently we don't need it in this country? It's one of those issues I'm going to be keeping my eye on here on the Westminster channel. If you found this report helpful and informative, please give this video a big thumbs up. We'd really appreciate that. And of course, make sure that you hit the join button, become a supporter. I'm going to keep asking my supporters what you think and doing some more readouts. So yeah, if you want to support my work here, do become a supporter. And of course, guys, as ever, thank you so much for watching.